Welcome to another edition of the Big Pod Machine, the best baseball podcast in all of Ohio, maybe the whole region. But with
the world,
my colleague, yes, maybe in the world. This is with my colleague Pat Brennan. I'm Gordon Wittenmyer, our terrific producer Phil Didion behind the scenes, and I'm coming at you from sunny Miami. Man, it's hot and muggy here. But that's Miami, right? And it's terrific. I haven't been to South Beach yet, but I've been close enough to be able to see across the water to where South Beach is. Maybe before I get out of town. But anyway, it's been anything but a day at the beach for the Reds so far. At least the first game in Miami, that was kind of brutal after that big day in Baltimore, coming and getting struck out 14 times by a guy not named Sandy Alcantara. So anyway, Pat, just wanted to start with a little bit of news. We heard as we tape this, we're getting ready for the second game of the series in Miami. Tyler Stevenson has started a rehab assignment. He had the oblique, which started his season on the injured list. So that's really good news, because now it's just a matter of getting enough at bats where he feels ready for big league duty. And then Sam Maul, the left-handed guy in the bullpen, also starting a minor league rehab assignment. He's probably even closer to returning. So good news for the ability of them to get up to full speed. I mean, Stevenson's the last guy in that lineup they've been waiting for. Yeah,
and man, has he been down a while. It felt, what was that, a mid-March situation that popped up when you and I overlapped at one point in Goodyear, and just not seen and heard from much, although he has been in the clubhouse in recent weeks when they've been in Cincinnati. But once Tyler gets back, that lineup is going to be about as long and as deep as you could hope for. And here he's off and running here in Louisville.
Yeah, he is, and it's great news. And the only question now becomes, they've been getting such good work out of both their catchers that did open on the active roster, including Austin Wynns, who had 6 hits the other day.
Yeah,
granted, 2 of them off of position players, but he had 4 hits before that. What do you do when Stevenson comes back? I wonder if there's a way to keep all 3 of them.
Yeah, and maybe the path to that is something that Terry Francona spoke about before Tyler Stevenson's oblique flared up, Gordon, which was, Terry has doubled down on the idea that Stevenson is a catcher and only that. But they also had designs, with Trevino being in the fold this year, of getting him prominent time DHing. So maybe that's a path. And Austin Wynns is giving you something at the plate too right now. And pitchers seem to like throwing to Austin Wynns. So let me put it to you. Do you think they could end up carrying 3 catchers this season, even for a portion of the season?
Well, I like the idea because of who these guys are and how the other 2 have been performing. We know what we think Tyler Stevenson brings to the table offensively when he comes, as well as being that experienced, good catcher behind the plate. So he's going to be a big part of that lineup. These other 2 guys have really been nice pieces of a lineup that's got kind of come and gone already over the first 4 weeks of the season. Yeah. And when you think about Steer's now back playing in the field, he's been at first base these last couple of days. And then you've got versatility in a guy like Lux. You got Hayes back. You could, if you wanted to, and Blake Dunn's, he's essentially the 26th man on the roster.
Yeah,
you could cover him. He's an outfielder. You could cover that position with the versatility you have on the roster, and have sort of this extra bat or this extra, I guess, combination weapon, between the 3 of them. Being able to So you just have to decide: is there more value in having all three of those guys and not having, for instance, Blake Dunn, or is there more value in making sure that you have Blake Dunn, who, by the way, can play center field for you when Friedel can't, or gets a day off, and only having two of those other three guys?
Yeah. So just for some context here, Gordon, Blake Dunn, you mentioned his fielding versatility. At the plate, he is hitting 188 right now, one jack, 5 RBI, 6 hits. Austin Wynns, obviously coming off a game that would have inflated his numbers quite a bit, but the numbers are what they are at this stage. He's hitting 455 with 9 RBI and 10 hits in limited action, and Jose Trevino's hitting 292 with 14 hits, and he's been good for some extra base hits lately, not just over, not just in the 24 run. Well, not just against the O's, but going back to maybe the last 10 days here. So I think there's going to be a
perfect. I was just going to say, to be perfectly clear, we all know that Blake Dunn's not hitting real well, and compared to the big thing with him is he can play center field.
Yeah,
and you don't have guys on the roster that can do that. So when Fairchild got DFA'd out of camp, and now Blake Dunn makes the club, that's your backup center fielder, right? So that's what you're measuring, right? So can you cover that? I don't know. It's a fascinating decision that they're going to have to make at some point.
Yeah, it'll be. I think who do you think would get more out of a run in AAA? Blake Dunn? Who needs it more? Blake Dunn or Austin Wynns?
Who needs going to AAA?
Yeah. Who would
Neither
get more?
One.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know that comes into play.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's just what's going to make your big league roster better.
Yeah.
Right. And so, do you chance having, sort of a second, instead of a plan B in center field, do you chance having a plan D, E, or F instead?
Yeah.
And I don't even know who that winds up being. So that's the only thing. I tell you what you want to. There was a little bit of other news going on early in the week, and that's that they've told Chase Burns he's going to Double-A. As we tape, I'm not sure they've announced that, but I've got confirmation in the organization. Yeah. He's scheduled to start at Double-A on Saturday. Now, people who don't remember Chase Burns, he was drafted 2nd overall just last July. He didn't pitch last year professionally. They did the same kind of thing they did with Rhett Lauder after drafting him 7th overall the year before. He didn't pitch professionally that year. His first pitch he threw professionally was in big league camp in spring training last year. Same with Burns this year. And now Burns, after, 3 starts at starts at High A in Dayton, he's off to Double-A. Took Rhett Lauder 5 last year to get to Double-A, and he winds up in the big leagues for 6 starts last year. So what do we think of Chase Burns' path in this very, very early going?
Well, this is one that I want to ask. I want to put another one to you, Gordon. Which of these two pitchers do you think could, and maybe it's both, maybe the answer is both, but which of these pitchers, if you had to pick one, do you think is going to really factor into the equation here for the Reds big league team?
Well, I think I like the answer of both. I like that answer a lot. And I think that's probably the accurate answer. But if I had to choose one, it seems pretty obvious it's going to be Rhett Lauder. Now, he opened on the IL. He's not hurt anymore. He's thrown. He's building up. I just talked to somebody this week. There's been no setbacks or anything like that. They're just taking their time with him. There's no need not to. Yeah. So at some point, he'll be through his own version of spring training and be ready to pitch somewhere. Now they'll put him in the minors. He's on the IL. They'll put him on a minor league rehab assignment. And if he starts looking good and they have a need, boom, he comes right in. And that could be May, could be June. I mean, just wherever that lands on his build-up timeline and for a need on the roster, that just happens. He's in that position where he's ready for that. The other guy, Chase Burns, it's all about his development, and it's all about a workload limit this year, too. This is first professional season. So like last year with Louder, even when he came up, we saw a lot of 4 innings, 4 1/3. He was on very strict pitch counts. And Burns will be the same way. I like the idea if Louder is effective and healthy and in the rotation, and I don't know who that puts out of the rotation, but I like the idea of Burns at the end of the season, maybe being part of your bullpen, if that makes sense for him. Inning at a time, inning and 2/3 at a time. And he's power arm. It'd be like David Price years ago in his first year with the Rays. And then went to the World Series that year. And he pitched in the World Series that year. So their bigger need may well be in the bullpen, and that's a way to limit his innings and get effectiveness out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Nothing to add to that. Gordon, I have another question for you, if you don't mind. I know I'm peppering you today. Hopefully you don't mind that. I'm wondering, big picture, we're getting toward the tail end of April, and I'm thinking about where this Reds team is at, and I don't know where they're at. You've seen them with your own 2 eyes more recently than I have. And, you know, from a position where they had won 6 out of 7 games after taking the series opener against the Mariners, they muddled through that Mariners series. They really gritted out a series win against Baltimore. They dropped game 1 against Miami last night, which you were present for, as well as the series in Baltimore. And looking ahead, although I know the team is not looking ahead, you've got a pretty stinky Colorado Rockies team coming up at the weekend. How are you feeling about this team right now and just where they're doing, how they're, you know, you and I have discussed this is a soft portion of the schedule. It would be really nice to be bagging some of these wins. How do you feel about where the team is at right now? I'm genuinely curious.
I don't like how they opened in Miami. They had look. Nick Lodolo comes back. He was on paternity leave. A lot of emotions there. He called it the best time in his life. First child, a son, healthy. Name is Keaton, for anybody that wants to know. And so he comes back. Extra day's rest. He said none of that impacted him. None of those emotions or anything impacted him. And he almost pitched 6 innings. Came close to pitching 6 innings. He didn't have his best stuff that day. And I don't know what he'll tell you a day later, but he didn't. He battled through against a run-of-the-mill, moribund lineup that the Marlins run out there. So not a lot of big damage, but he got peppered a lot. They hit some balls pretty hard on him.
I think the game really. Go ahead.
His last start was not great either. So he's your number 2 starter. Hunter just laid an egg in Baltimore. That's going to happen here and there. But man, that soft schedule you're talking about, it doesn't get any softer than this road trip, especially the way the Orioles have been playing. And they took that series. You got it. This is where you have to bank wins and not just. Seriously, you've got to sweep one of these series. Now the only one left they can even do that with is Colorado. And it's just because of the way the math works.
Yeah. And I think it's so hard to sweep, no matter how bad they are. It's tough to go into a series with the expectation of sweeping an opponent that is comprised of professional ball players. But, man, with the way it's gone so far, especially on this road trip like you just referenced, you're looking at that Colorado series now, and I think 2 out of 3 is a disappointment in Denver, and that could be totally unfair, but I think that's where we're at right now.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you.
There's also part of me that looks at this Reds team and says they're treading water. That can be, for most teams, a lot of teams, that can be enough in April. You know, as long as you don't bury yourself like the Rockies.
Except for this, Pat.
Yeah.
That team in first place has toughest April schedule in baseball. And they're doing a little bit better than treading water. They just took another series from the Diamondbacks, a really good team. Diamondbacks went into that series hot, and the Cubs just took that series. So when you have the soft schedule for a month and they have the tough schedule for the month, you should be a couple of games ahead of them, not the other way around, because the schedule's going to turn on you. And the Reds don't have the team to play catch-up.
No, certainly not. And I think going back to a piece you wrote with really great work by our design staff, before the season you wrote a piece really well reported about how the Reds' only path to the playoffs was through winning the NL Central. I have expressed to you how I disagree with that and how I always feel like the third NL wildcard spot.
You're wrong.
I know. But hey, your point is holding up very well right now. The NL West, more to your point, the NL West specifically is holding up very well right now. And I think that the point you made well before the season even started, Gordon, looks pretty salient and pretty dead on accurate right now. And the way this is setting up with, like you said, the Cubs trudging through a meaty portion of their schedule, already have a lead in this division. Yeah. The Reds have to make hay, and they have to make hay right now on this road trip.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, one other, if you want to parse the schedule even a little bit more, you've got the National League is really doing well against the American League already this year, and they did last year as well. And part of the story that you referenced was how much stronger the National League got this year with some of the imports, some of the star imports from the other league. And so we're seeing that start to play out. Well, the Reds have played the Rangers, the Mariners, and the Orioles in interleague play right now, and they've won one of those series. Now, the Rangers are really good. They might wind up being a playoff team. The Mariners are one of those on-the-fence teams. They were a playoff team a couple of years ago, not a playoff team last year. They're a upper 80s type win team in recent years. But you had them at home. You had a chance to win that series, and then you didn't. And you know, it's a really sloppy game in that series finale. Now, they did take the series in Baltimore, but Baltimore's not playing real well. And the one game you lost was the one you felt certain you were going to win going in, and that was Hunter Green's start. So that a lot of this that's baseball, but they're not banking some series and some wins that we might have been able to reasonably expect. Now, things can change. I mean, they might start to hit way better than we expect. Who knows? They may pitch even better than they pitched early on. Who knows? They might go on a run on a tough part of their schedule and defy odds. A lot of season left, but boy, you kind of cross your fingers a little bit right now where things are.
And they've definitely left some should have been and could have been wins on the table. Every team says that, probably about most games they lose, but it's really there's a few glaring losses already that have started to accumulate for the Reds. And just not quite what you would have wanted to see from the team at this point. Gordon, I know you're on a tight schedule at the ballpark there. How are you doing on time?
Yeah, I think we should probably wrap it. I'll just add this point to your last point, and that is where we started. They're getting healthier, so that's a good thing. Yeah, they got guys coming. They might even have pitching coming. Wade Miley is looking more like a June proposition than a May proposition right now, but still, it's not like you have a need right there right now, and it's nice to have that in your back pocket. So, to your point about maybe things can change. The idea is that they should have some reinforcements, and health is kind of on their side as we look ahead right now in the short term. So with that, I guess we call it a wrap.
Hey, Gordon, before we go, I want to congratulate you and producer Phil Didion. In just 3 weeks, we have matched the lifetime total of Big Pod Machine episodes. And for that, this is a great Tuesday. I'm happy to be here with you. And Roll on, Big Pod Machine, the greatest baseball podcast in the world. Congratulations, buddy, to many more.
I don't know how I topped that one.
Congratulations
to you, Pat.
Hey, thank you. It's truly my pleasure to be here doing this with you. And long may the Big Pod Machine continue.
Talk about a dynasty. All right, my man. Well, with that, I think we will wrap it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit the. I think there's a subscribe button there. Go ahead and hit it. For Pat, for Phil, this is Gordon. We'll talk to you next week.